So let's have a look at Bitcoin on the daily. Let's start with the king. So we've been trading this like real G's. My leverage trading positions and the people that I've been trading with, we've been doing really well. So let's break down what's been going on. What's our main points of support and resistance. So if you know and been following my channel for quite a while, you know that I've been following this trading range, right? This white background here, all-time highs, and we've got the red line here of the trading range, and that's the recent low that we put in. I say recent, but the 5th of March 2024. Since then, we've been trading in this sort of range. Okay, and then we've got our trend line here as well, right? We've got this upswoping trend line here, and we've been trading that. That's our support and resistance, excuse me. That's our support and resistance areas. And then we've got our 50% here, that red line here at 66.4, and our 618 here at 64.682. So we've been trading this, you know. So if I go into let's go into the 4-hourly chart, you can see I've got a bunch of these lines here, and we've been trading this really well. So I was able to put in the support line, of course, when this low came in here. When that line came in here, I was able to put in the support line, and we've been conforming to it, right? Conforming to it, pushed out at the 50%. We traded this falling wedge here, pushed out, traded this falling wedge here, and then this is where it started to get a bit sticky. Let me put it on the hourly chart and let's see what happened. So this is what I was sort of looking at, and this is sometimes you can trade these trend lines, right? I know some people that just trade trend lines, and you can do that. So I saw this as a falling wedge here. Okay, it looks a bit more like a falling channel here, but I saw it as a falling wedge. So I expected a push to the upside. We did, right? Came down, tested, and we were able to put in a trend line. When we came out and we used this trend line as resistance, that's where I was a bit cautious here, right? I was a bit cautious. And we did come up, don't get me wrong, we still came up. We came up, but we wasn't able to break this trend line here. We weren't able to break that trend line, and we weren't able to close above that high there. Okay, and then we sort of came down. So that's your first sort of signal that we might be coming down. This one was a big one when we came out of the this white area here. Okay, when we came out of that white area there, that's the first sign that we're showing a bit of weakness, and we're closing below this one here. Okay, we're getting lower lows. You can see we're getting lower lows. So those are the things to pay attention to. Those are the things to sort of pay attention to. And then we finally broke down. And then we came into this sort of this triangle right here. That's typically a bearish pattern when it's coming from the upside. It's coming from the upside all the way down into a triangle like that. It's typically going to break down, and that's what we did, right? Still trading it like a G. And you know, throughout this stage, I did put on a short here. I did put on a short at this stage here, but when we got here, sorry, when we came down here, I did put on a long on the 50%. Okay, I put on a long on the 50%, and I put a long more on the 618 here. You know how I like to trade, like this. So I've got more at the bottom here at the 618 and less at the 50% up here. Okay, and I average in my trade. I average it in like that, and I just trade that on leverage. But why was this a good area? Well, because it's the 50% and the 618, and then you've got this trend line here. So that was a no-brainer. This trade was so simple. It's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. And doing it on leverage, 100x leverage, 40x leverage, you make a nice eat off of that. Okay, I managed to make a nice 50% off of that. And left the moon bag in there, right? I left the moon bag in there. Now, here's the moment of truth with Bitcoin, really. Is it going to break this 50%? That's the question. Bulls, we need it to get up here and hold this 50% to be able to start mounting another attack up here. Okay, breaking into this area here and breaking under these lows here, which was previously support and then broke out. Okay, that's going to be an area. So it's sort of like that area there is what we want to watch for. Okay, that's what the bulls want. Bears want a breakdown. Bears want this to be rejected. To be honest with you, if we was to get a rejection so early here, if we was to get a rejection at this 50% here, that shows a lot of weakness, because we weren't even able to get a good bounce on this big support area and push up a little bit higher. I'd expect it to go a bit higher, to be honest with you, to do something like that. And obviously it'll bounce along and make its way up like that, but I'd expect that. If it was to get rejected here and pushed back down further, that's not going to go down well, and it's very likely we have to look to some more down targets, right? Our next target is this red line here, which comes in at 60k 959. We'll round it off to 61k. So That's what you kind of want to be looking at, really. That's kind of what you want to really be looking at. Now, I did buy some positions on spot, some altcoins that I like the idea of. I bought it when Bitcoin dropped to the 618, and that's kind of what I'm going to be doing right now. I'm gonna be watching what Bitcoin does first. Okay, I'm not really going to be paying attention to the alts, because it's very unlikely when Bitcoin has drops like this. Yes, they might get their little bounces here and there. When Bitcoin bounces, they're going to get significant bounces. But if Bitcoin shits the bed here and comes back down to this trend line, and worse, if it starts using this as resistance and then drops out of that red channel there, we've got some significant targets to the bottom there. All right, I'm going to zoom out a little bit and show you. We've got some big targets to the bottom there. So our first sort of area is going to be these highs here, okay, at 52k. It doesn't look like, you might think it can't get there, but it can. Believe me, it can. All right, it can shoot down. There's not much trading happening here, so it's very likely we'll fall straight through that and get our first test here, and then we've got our 50% here as well. Okay, we've got our 50% area there at 49k. If we was to get to the 618, okay, if we was to get 618, then I would very much be loading up. I'll obviously be pyramiding like this. Yeah, load up here. If Bitcoin ever gets to this area here, or the 50% here, load up. Okay, load up. So this is stacking season right now for me. This is stacking season, and you might not necessarily be loading up on your Bitcoin here. But what you want to be doing if Bitcoin ever gets to this 50% first is keep an eye on this, put an alert on this. And you might want to put it in at around 50k, because the market loves round numbers. So maybe put it up here, actually 50,650, because it's these lows here. Okay, put an alert on there, put an alert on here as well, this area here, and be ready for this area here. Okay, this area here, all of that, be ready. Put an alert on there and stack, because this will take a lot of time to play out. If it does come out like this, it'll very likely take a time to come out, and it might just wick down here. So stack your P's, get your P's onto an exchange and put some limit orders on. Be ready for it if it happens, because it's very likely we'll get a wick down there and it will jump back up straight away. Okay, and it'll probably take its time to sort of build up its campaign again to come up here. Okay, so it's a patient game. It's a game of patience. Okay, it's a game of patience right now. If you're leverage trading, that's different. Okay, and this is why I like to have 3 different portfolios. As you know, I have my large position, which is mainly Bitcoin and ETH, and a few alts, but they don't move. My trading portfolio, which I can move in and out of, and I do a lot of trading in out of altcoins to altcoins, such as Ethereum to Solana, and so forth. And then I got my leverage bag portfolio, and this enables me to be flexible. Okay, and this strategy might not work for you, right? You might be a person that just wants to buy and hold. That's fine. But I find if I just buy and hold, and I'm just doing a spot hold, that I don't pay attention to the market when things start to drop. You get a bit disinterested. You get disinterested. You're kind of on the sidelines, and you're just waiting for your number to get higher. You know, you're waiting for your altcoin to get to $50 or something like that, and you don't move until that stage. But by me having a portfolio like this, it forces me to stay in touch with the market. So that's what I'm looking at. But at the moment, Bitcoin's doing well. It hasn't broken down any major structure. Let's be honest, it hasn't broken down any major structure. So, the trading range low and the trading range high, we haven't broken that. This uptrend line, we haven't broken that. So we're still good. You know, it's just, you're just looking out for these things. Breaking of the 50%, okay? Or a breakdown out of that. That's when you need to start paying attention, okay? Okay, so pay attention to 64,682 and some closes beneath here, okay? That's dangerous. If we come down, that's going to be an entry for a long for me. All right, that's going to be an entry for a long, because I'll at least be able to ride it up to the 618 and the 0.65 and this trend line here, and it'll be likely be resistance at that point. But we got to take it one step at a time. All right, but we're still quite bullish. If I fling it onto the daily, let's have a look, see what we can see. Like, in terms of a pattern, what we'd want to see is this being respected as a sort of ascending triangle, right? Because that's what Bitcoin could be doing right now, and just building up momentum for a rising triangle. We break out towards the end of April, beginning of May, and we sort of break out. But they do say when in May walk away, and we have been up for 7 months. Bitcoin has never gone up has never done 8 months higher with higher closes. Never done that before. So probability is starting to shift to at least more of a consolidation or a breakdown rather than a straight breakup from here. Okay, so keep that knowledge in your back pocket. Okay, so that's Bitcoin and where it can get to. I will have a look at some of the other alts in another video. Yeah.